If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derrick Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. Now, the word annuity, it often gets a bad rap in the financial world. And it's because critics tend to group all types of annuities under one umbrella. But if you've been with us for a while and you've been listening to the show, you know that is not true. So, Derrick, here's where you come in here. For somebody who's new to the show, tell us exactly what an annuity is and, of course, the benefits. And with everything, there's always the good and the bad. What are some drawbacks?
So, annuities are sold by insurance companies. That's the first thing to kind of know. And an annuity is where you transfer funds. So say your IRA or non-qualified, which is after-tax money, then you transfer $100,000 to the insurance company. So you're transferring a large amount of the risk to the insurance company. The insurance company, they take on that risk and they house your annuity where there's a lot of different types of annuities, but they can give you a fixed rate, similar to kind of a CD style where say, hey, we're going to pay you for 3 years, 4% on that. There's also lifetime income annuities where you can get a lifetime income stream. You can annuitize an annuity, which means you're giving the funds over to an insurance company and they're giving you a payment based upon the contract you sign with them. Or there's just regular type of what they call fixed index annuities that protect you from loss. But most people use annuities to transfer the market risk off of themselves and transfer that to the insurance company or a large portion of that risk. That's really how they're used a lot of times. But some of the pros are that you can get guaranteed income off of them. And generally speaking, much higher income than you can take from market assets or bank assets. So that's a huge pro is, generally 5 to 7%, sometimes even up to 8, 9% of whatever investment you put with them, they'll guarantee for you and your spouse's entire life. So great, right? Everybody's like, hey, okay, you add some layer of protection there. You guarantee my income. Fantastic. Sign me up. But annuities are not scary, not at all. But you have to make sure that you're in the right annuity and it's meeting your needs. They're tax-deferred earnings, too, which people love, especially the last couple years, because CDs are not tax-deferred. So people have ran to the bank, they've thrown money in a 4 or 5% CD, and now they're actually getting money on their money, but now the tax man, right here, is where they get upset on CDs because they're getting this 1099 saying, hey, I made $8,000 last year. Yeah, and so annuities are tax-deferred. Until you withdraw those funds out and everything, you can sit on them and they're all tax deferred. So another great pro, they're also customizable. There's so many different types out there, guys, that y'all can talk with us about, whether it's guaranteed income, fixed rates, whatever. You want to make sure that your annuity matches your goal. And one of the biggest cons to annuity, I will say, is that it doesn't match what the client wanted, or they don't understand what it's doing for them. I would say that's one of the biggest cons, or just knowledge, because the safety that annuities provide a lot of times is one of the biggest drawbacks we get where, we'll sit down with somebody and we'll say, hey, this is a fixed index annuity. It's going to protect you from loss. We're going to transfer that risk to the insurance company, and we're going to grow your money, based upon these factors and maybe provide lifetime income. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to put all my money into it.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's never good. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know that.
Yeah, never. It's just like any type of financial instrument out there. It needs to be a piece of your portfolio, and you need to know exactly what it's doing for you. Because that's really the number one pitfall when it comes to annuities is that people try to put too much money into them, because one of the cons is it limits your liquidity. Because of that safety that, they offer, with fixed index annuities and fixed annuities and things like that, right? There's no perfect financial instrument, guys. There's nothing. There's risk on annuities. There's risk in the market. There's risk in CDs. There's risk everywhere out there, but you have to make sure it matches what you want. And one of them is liquidity. Most companies offer 10% a year that you can take out of that annuity for income or just emergencies. But so if you tie up all your money in an annuity, and you get a penalty if you take out more than 10%. You can't do that. You're limiting your liquidity too much, and the market provides higher risk, but also a possibility for higher return than what an annuity does. So there's cons, guys. And so I could talk about this all day, Jess, I'll tell you, but it really boils down to the client's needs and making sure they match what the advisor's talking about and what the client is, and really building that relationship. That goes into our first meeting about goals and everything that we just discussed, because what we do with annuities is totally dependent on the person. I can see
everything is customized.
Yeah, I can see 10 different clients, and maybe 4 of them get annuities, maybe all of them get annuities, and certain percentage, all that. Everything that we do here at Hoyle Financial is 100% customizable to the client's needs, their lifestyle, and their legacy. So that's something that I urge you, if you don't know about annuities or you have an older annuity, because guys, there's some bad annuities out there, and there's some blazing hot, great ones too.
Yeah.
So if you're in one of those older annuities, give us a call. Let us sit down, explain to you what it is, how it works. Can you do better? Is it doing fantastic? Hey, the worst thing you can come, we're going to call this the annuity challenge, right, Jess?
That's right. My favorite.
Bring annuities, or if you like what you hear too, you want to talk about annuity, give us a call. We're going to do an annuity challenge. You bring it in. The worst thing you can walk away with from calling me on this is that you got an annuity and it's doing fantastic. And I tell you that, and you're living it up at that point, right? So,
Derrick, are you familiar with the actor Seth Rogen?
Yes, actually, I've been told several times that I sound like him.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes you do. You have the little growl in his throat. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
right there. Just you talking. Yes. Yes, you do. You kind of sound like him. I bet you wish you had his money, because I think he's doing okay. I think he's.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind at all. We could trade places. I'd be all right.
There you go. Trade places for a day, see what happens. Well, Seth usually is the funny guy making us laugh, but he and his wife, Lauren, they're actually out with a new documentary. It's on the serious side. It's actually called Taking Care, and it chronicles their journey to take care of Lauren's mother, who is battling Alzheimer's.
It's very expensive, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to really give someone good 24-hour-a-day in-home care. And to most people, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year is not an amount of money you just have laying around to spend on something that is not giving you anything other than like some slight sense of normalcy. You know what I mean?
I think we do know what you mean, Seth. And of course, no one wants to leave this financial burden to their family. And I know it's a tough, sensitive topic, Derrick, but at the end of the day, we all have to realize, look, tomorrow's going to come. You're going to wake up. You're going to be older. Something hurts. Something goes wrong. Maybe you do get dementia. Maybe you have some kind of unfortunate cancer or something like that. I mean, you're going to need healthcare, assistance. And how do we make sure that we are prepared so we can afford this expensive long-term care?
Yeah, and just this is kind of near to my heart, because I went through with my grandmother, and really seeing my father go through this with his mom. It was very hard. That's I even got told by the nursing home that was caring for her to not call at one point, just show up, because when we called, what my grandmother was doing is she was walking out there, and because of the mode she was in, she thought I was coming every day.
I know. I've been through it with my grandfather. It's heartbreaking. It's devastating. It's worse than you could ever think. Yeah.
Yeah, bless those people too for how good a care they took care of my grandma and everything. But
of course.
Luckily, they were in a place that they were able to use their own assets. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, I don't know numbers or anything, but I would probably say that 90% of their assets when she passed away were all depleted.
Oh, I would 100%. I mean, geez, the cost of healthcare is insane. Now you talk about somebody that needs 24-hour care, or they need a facility, or it's outrageous, guys. And the cost isn't going to go down, which is why instead of just ignoring it, going, oh, never me, I'm invincible, this is never going to happen, you have to have this conversation. It has to be part of your planning strategy when you sit down with Derrick and the team to say, hey, look, could be me, could be my wife, my husband, it could be both of us. We don't want our kids to have to figure this out. How do we do this?
Yeah, and that's one of the conversations that I have with people. And quite frankly, I'm kind of blunt about it because of what we've gone through and the type of retirement planning I do. do is that we look for that in the future. So when we talk about long-term care plans, there's good ones and there's bad ones, just like annuities or investments and anything like that. And so that's probably the first thing that we get when we talk about it is, hey, do you have a long-term care plan? And I'd probably say 80% of the time people tell me, no, I don't need one. They don't work or whatever they got with long-term care. So I look them in the eye and say, okay, so what $500,000 do you have that you want to put aside in case you need that?
That's just sitting around.
Yeah. And their eyes just blow up and they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, my job is to take care of you, not today, not just tomorrow, but 30 years from now. And we have to put money aside or make sure that you're taken care of, because are your kids going to do it? You start going down that road is who's going to take care of you? Well, I know, just my experience, and I'm sure you do too, there's a time where your wife or kids or anything will not be able to take care of you. And it's a strong possibility. We all hope, my wife always says this, Jess, you'll love this, where her and me, and she talks about when we pass away, we're going to pass away together, like in the Notebook.
Like the Notebook. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Just go to sleep. And
hey, if you got to go, that's a good way to go. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. But in that same movie, I remind her that the wife, had Alzheimer's and stuff. And so, but you need to plan for that, because
you do.
I'm 225 pounds. I'm 6'1". My wife, who is 130 maybe.
Yeah, she can't pick you up if you fall, help you in the bathroom.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, not good.
I wouldn't say it's a burden, but it's something to be realistic about. That how do you want your nursing home days or your end of days or, your succession planning? All that stuff goes into it. But quite frankly, the number one thing, how are you going to pay for it? If you got $500,000 sitting around, fantastic. We'll nudge it over here and that will put a staple in it and we're done, right? So, and maybe that is what it is. That's fantastic if that's it. But if not, we have to look at alternatives and how you're going to pay for it. One thing I do with that too is I also factor in the average inflationary rates on round the clock as well as just partial nursing home care. Because your $4,500 a month now, 20 years from now, guys, it's like $13,000 a month.
The biggest fear that people have when it comes to planning for retirement is running out of money, understandably. And then you get the other side of the coin that's, okay, well, the recipe for a successful retirement is income, income, income. So how do I bridge that gap? How do I not run out of money? How do I create the income that's going to give me everything I need? And Derrick, that's where you come in.
Absolutely. That's part of retirement planning, and that's what I do for our firm. And for me, it's kind of like Legos or Tetris, right? You're always kind of putting these pieces together and where they need to go, because that's the majority of what people want is, okay, Derrick, show me the picture. What do I do? Where do I go? What does this look like? And you've done all the hard work. You've done the heavy lifting. Let us take over and everything and maximize what you have. And that's what it's all about is every piece of your portfolio needs to be maximized, whether that's your bank assets, whether that's your income, as you mentioned, your investment accounts, all that stuff needs to be maximized to give you the best retirement. And that's what everybody's looking for, is to be able to go and travel and see their grandkids and without worrying about what's going on in the markets and everything. And you can't be a slave to that. If you feel that way, guys, you're with the wrong financial advisor. Because keep in mind, guys, we say financial advisor is a very broad term because we focus on a lot of different things. And you might have a financial advisor that does not focus on retirement planning. And that is the biggest stage of life for people once they get towards that end is, okay, Derrick, what about Medicare? And this is a perfect example of how you know if your financial advisor is not a retirement planner, guys. Throw him that Medicare question there, and he'll run for the hills and everything. And that's okay. Everybody focuses on different things, but our firm was built to be entirely holistic and just look at all those things because they're so vitally important for you in retirement. And how we do that is we get to know you and dig deep and look at all the numbers and tell you, hey, the good, the bad, the ugly of what you're doing, and allow you to focus on things and give goals and tasks and everything like that, because that's what people need. Tell me what to do, Derrick. I'll do it. You got to tell me what to do. Majority of our country doesn't know what to do in that 5 year away from retirement, in retirement. They just know, okay, I just shovel away money as much as I can in a 401k. Okay, now what, Derrick? Biggest question out there.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derrick or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Investment advice offered through Hoyle Wealth Management, a Texas-registered investment advisor able to provide investment advice in states where it's registered, exempt, or excluded from registration. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of loss, including possible loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here. Content provided is obtained from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to its accuracy or completeness. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyle, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyle is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyle is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.